Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just a comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. This is James Trice. Welcome to another edition of YANA. You Are Not Alone. This is a space for Black men to talk uncensored in a judgment-free environment about the issues that matter most to us. This is a space where Black men realize and know and come to understand that we do not walk this journey of life alone, because none of us are meant to do life alone. This is also a space where we're not just men. We want the world to understand that we're human. We're not just men, we are human. You know, we have feelings and thoughts and concerns that normal human beings have. So thank you again for joining us on this episode of YANA. Today's episode, we have none other than James Ware. He was on before with another brother recently. James, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself and tell the audience what you want them to know about you, and let's get started. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for
thanks,
coming,
Brother
brother.
Trice. No
Yes.
problem. I appreciate it. My name is James Ware. A father, have three children, ages 31, 32, and a 12-year-old. Retired military guy. Been working with youth for over about 30 years. Had the opportunity to work in school system for several years. Spent some time mentoring men in a. I used to work for a Head Start program in the main office. We had the opportunity to talk to men and mentor men to get them more involved in the programs, which is a Head Start was provided child care for parents. But a lot of times it was challenging to get the men involved. So I was tasked with that to get the men more involved. And I think I mentioned that I used to be in the military. That's a little bit tidbits about myself. Real passionate about our youth and men's issues, of what we need to do as men. And particularly, I wanted to talk about today helping men, Black men particularly, navigate through the judicial system when they're in the courts fighting for custody of their children and dealing with the court issues and the things that they may go through or experience with those issues.
Okay. And so how let's talk about that. So let's go there. Let's talk about the issue with Black men, because this, particularly the injustice criminal justice system, and I call it that because it's always unjust to us as Black men. That's what we find more often than not. It's and so, but I want you to talk about this system around child. You said the system regarding uh, child welfare, custody, those kinds of things. How are you able to help these men? So let me ask another question first. Why are you concerned about this, and how do you help Black men navigate this system?
Your first question, how do I feel about it, or why I'm concerned about it, why it's such a passion to me? I experienced this in my own personal life. I mentioned that I had a daughter that was 12 years old. So when she was born, her and her mom was together. We were together about 3 years, and about a year after she was born, and my daughter stayed with me. And when we broke up, she was still with me. And the part that comes in, and I've raised her and was with me since she was a child.
Hmm.
And then probably when her mom, we broke up, my child stayed with me. And then probably about 3 months later, she wanted to come back in the picture, and she filed a false protective order. So that's kind of, and that of course when a person or someone's fighting custody file a false protective order or protective order in general, they're going to remove the child from that parent, which they did. So that here becomes the fight. Here becomes me to have to get in the court system involved in something that I knew I had certain rights to. So fighting child protective orders could be a tricky thing. For instance, 90% of protective orders are granted, irregardless, whether it's criminal or civil. Those orders are automatically granted to the petitioner. 70% of protective orders involving custody, a lot of them they found that was exaggerated. And then a lot of times you have to prove that in court with the lawyer. Then 23% of those protective orders are found to be false. In other words, wasn't true. A lot of things that's written up in these things was false allegations. So as being a parent or being a man or in particular, you have to fight these things in the court system. And a lot of times, back to your point, the injustice system sometimes, especially as it relates to black men, we don't always get a fair shake when it comes to trying to get custody of our children, especially when we know that we didn't do anything wrong. So
Hmm.
for instance, I had to fight the child protective order. Then I had to go also and prove that I was a better fit for the child. So I think in my case, it's kind of a unique case because I was being a man and part of the church. I had my own business. It was a child development center, learning center at that time that I owned and operated for 5 years. Had a good track record dealing with children, and I could prove that the child was with me and that she left, that the mom actually left or abandoned us when she left, or her mom, should I say. And then on top of that, I could prove a lot of false allegations that was in the protective order. But just the stress of having to deal with that and initially prove this to a judge, and that took just to fight the protective order. That took about 2 months to fight that, going back and forth in courts, and then me having to get a lawyer, having to pay for a lawyer, and then sometimes even with the lawyer doesn't mean that we're going to have we're going to win the case. So I had to
Hmm.
do my due diligence and fight and go dig to prove that what type of man I was, and I
Hmm.
had to likewise prove some of her lifestyle and things that how she was living. Anytime you get any criminal activities or anything, this is public knowledge or it's documented in the courts.
Right.
So I was privy to look up a lot of that information, the cases and things that she had against her, which is my child's mother.
Hmm.
Whether it was drunk, intoxicated, things of that nature. Any arrest records that she had, I was able to see and view all of those things. Now, I wasn't aware of those things when me and her got together, her lifestyle, but I saw a pattern of her behaviors and some other things that she had filed. So just fighting that system, it took a lot. It could be very stressful, and it take a lot of you, a lot of finances, a lot of stress, and then dealing with the injustice because we're already viewed that we're not going to be, as far as a black man, that you're not a
Hmm.
great father. You don't want to be
Hmm.
with your kids. You don't want to spend time with your children. So I had to deal with all of those and navigate the system that way because automatically,
Hmm.
most times, irregardless, they're going to award custody to that mom because they just in their minds they think that she will be a better fit.
Hmm.
What the norm is, the parent should be with the child should be with the female or the parent or the woman, which is always
Hmm.
not the case. So we had to fight that stigma within the court system of that ideology that they hold, especially as a black man. Who are you?
Hmm.
And all the things that we have against us. This
Hmm.
the stigma of being a black man and how they perceive us. is not wanting to be involved with our children.
Hmm. And so, um, who had custody of the child before you and your ex went through this battle?
With me and her, her
Okay.
and I was together after my child was born. We were together for at least 6 months after she was born. But in the
Hmm.
relationship, we were together about 2.5 years. But after my child was born, we were together for 6 months. She decided that she wanted to live her life and still continue to party and do other things, and she left the relationship
Hmm.
and left the home. And I had physical custody of the child, of
Hmm.
my child.
Hmm.
So probably about 3 months, sorry, pardon me, 3 months after her leaving, I started fighting for just getting custody, parental custody. And then
So why
probably
did you have to fight to get parental custody if she left? Did you?
because I still wanted to legally do it. But then in
Oh,
the
got
midst
you.
of that, yeah, legally do it. I mean, I can say, yeah, she's mine, but you still have that legal right because, she was supposed to come and see the child and visit and stuff like that, which she never did. She would come intoxicated. This, I won't get into all of that. However, but then when she,
And let me ask this question. So when she came, this is before you began to fight for custody?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
When I
Okay.
saw that wasn't going to change and that she was not going to be a great fit, and this was not going to work in a relationship wise. When I knew the relationship was not going to work, and we're not going to, is it's not applicable no more for us. It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she left and she didn't want to be a part of her child's life, then I knew, okay, I got to get custody of this my baby, you know.
Okay.
But then in the
Okay.
midst of that, she's filed a false protective order,
Okay. What was
and
in the
so
protective order that
she
she
had
filed?
things in there. Well, I she made it seem like that I was keeping her away from the child, and that when we was together, I kept her away from her family. I didn't want her to go anywhere. I was just abusing her mentally and
Mm-hmm.
abusing her physically, stuff like that. The typical things, which none of those things were true. I never wanted her to be around her families. She even put in information because we had a dog in the midst of a relationship that he won't give me my dog back and he's keeping the dog, stuff like that. These are things that she actually had in the petition, and
Okay.
I'm keeping her from the child, from her
Mm-hmm.
daughter and stuff like that. And I was trying to hold her in the house, basically didn't want her to do anything.
Okay.
But the thing is, like I said, we were together for 3 years,
Right.
and within those 3 years, that two years, like and a half, she had the baby.
Right.
We had pictures, we had text messages, we had family outings, her family, stuff like that. So I had all this documentation, a wealth of documentation about to dispute all these lies that she was claiming that I kept her away from her family and I was trying to basically hold her captive in the house. We
Mm-hmm.
had pictures of text messages where she was um, talking about how much she loved me and she cared and stuff like that and
Mm-hmm.
things that she wanted to do. I had other information about her drinking because she was Native American, so had the drinking issues and drinking problems, but that's neither here or there. So, and all of those things, I had pictures and stuff like that. I was actually trying to help her to wean her off of partying and doing that stuff so much, but that's another story. So all of those allegations that she put in there, I
Mm-hmm.
had to counteract that with information that
Right.
I knew was false. Like, even she had text messages about the dog. When I'm telling her, well, if you want the dog, you need to pick the dog up and come and get them. And she's like, I don't care. Do whatever you want with
Okay.
the dog. Okay. And these was text messages.
Right.
So I had to get all this stuff, took it to Kinko's, printed all this stuff out, printed out pictures, printed out stuff that was in the text messages as documentation to dispute her false claims.
Okay. So
And even the
what was
family outings. Go ahead, I'm
right?
sorry.
Even where was the child during this whole process?
During that process, when she initially filed that protective order, that I had to turn the child over to her, and it took me
Oh, so
almost.
even though you had the child and she had left,
She had
she
left, and she was gone for
filed
about 3 months.
right, and she filed to get her daughter, it's daughter, right? Get your
Yes,
daughter.
yes.
They made they made you give the you had to turn the child over to her during this battle,
during that time.
during this fight. Okay.
Yes, and at the same time, I'd already started
Hmm.
the child custody, just getting legal custody of it.
Right. You had
So
already
I had
started
that
that
going
before.
too with another court.
Okay.
Yeah, but that protective order threw a monkey wrench in it because I don't have the child with me, so now I got to fight that.
Okay. So help me to understand. So help me to understand that you had the child, she left. You
Correct.
felt like you needed to fight. You are filed for sole custody
Legal
of your
custody, not
daughter.
trying to, but still
Right,
wanting her
legal
to be
custody.
able to be a child
Ah,
for
got you.
life. Yeah, it
Talk,
wasn't like,
talk, right. Talk about the difference between legal custody, sole custody.
well, sole
What's the
custody, I
difference?
mean, the legal custody is saying, I'm responsible for this child. She's going to be a part of my life, and she's going to 90% of her time stay with me. And
Hmm.
that's sole custody, a legal custody. And the other custody part of it, you can have a parenting plan, which we did do, but there's stipulations based off that other parent's situation that you can have put in that parenting plan.
So what does that mean? What is that classified as? So
Now,
so the
parenting,
question I
well,
ask
you
is,
get, go ahead.
what's the difference between sole custody and legal custody? What's the difference between those
Well,
two?
sole custody, I mean that child's with you, and you have the rights for that child. You to make decisions about that child's school, about the religion preferences, about where they're going to be raised up at. That's
Right.
legal custody,
And what is
and I
sole
guess the
custody?
sole custody is the same thing as the physical custody. That child's living with you. So
So they're the
majorly,
same
like,
thing. There's no difference between legal custody and sole custody.
yeah, they pretty much is terminology pretty much the same, but mean the same. Because legal custody, I mean, you this is something that's done by a court. Sole custody of the child is with you, but it kind of means the same thing. But the sole custody, that means like a lot of times when you if like my children when we got my children were older, my older children were older when I got divorced, so it didn't really apply. But if you got a divorce and you had younger children and you and the parents wasn't and that you they're gonna live with the moms, but as a dad, the parent the woman may have sole custody of the children, but you still as a dad have legal rights for the children to come and spend whether it's every other holiday with you or every other weekend. So that will be a legal part of that custody. Yeah, does
Okay.
that make sense?
It does. So clarify for me then, what is it when a parent gets custody of the child and the other parent have no rights at all? Meaning they have no right to come see the child. That parent who has the child can say, I don't want him or her around. I wanted to decide everything. And as a matter of fact, if I choose not to let this other parent see the child, that's that's on me, and the other parent has no rights at all. What is that?
That's that right there. That type of custody is almost the parent has to almost be really really bad on abusing the
No,
child
no,
for that to
no,
happen.
I get that.
That
But what is
yeah,
that called
that's
though?
yeah. Honestly, I don't think that's something that a parent can do because you everybody has rights as
Oh
a
yeah,
parent.
I've seen it happen. I've seen
Yeah, well that will
where
have
a
to be
parent can have custody and the child and that parent who has custody does not have to let that other parent see the child at all.
well that's got to be something that's written in a parenting plan because you have to when they come together and something like that happens, that
Mhm.
parent that happens to they have to be a real bad criminal or a real bad parent for that to happen. Now for me,
And there's
in my
cases like that
situation,
though. I mean, there are
yeah,
people,
I think they are, but yeah,
right?
normally they got to be a highly addicted on drugs, really bad off,
Right.
and doing a lot of crazy
But it's
stuff.
possible
But
for that to happen.
but it is possible. Now for me, you can get in a parenting plan. You have things written up to where, like for instance, her mom, my daughter's mom, she couldn't. She had to have child supervision. That was written up in the legal plan.
Okay.
Couldn't be around the grandmother on her side. Couldn't be around her at all. And then as far as the, she couldn't have visitations unless it was supervised visitations. Then she had to go to drug and alcohol classes. So
Okay.
those are stipulations that was written by the
Ah,
judge
okay.
in the parenting plan. And
Okay.
then once those things are done, they go back and revisit it. but she didn't. She chose not to do any of that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's what that
So
was.
what happens if they don't follow the stipulations within the parenting plan?
Then somebody could get in trouble. Like
No,
let's
what
say,
happens though to that parent? Again, if she doesn't follow or that person doesn't follow the parenting plan, meaning that, the stipulation she have to go through drug rehab or she has to take classes or whatever, she or he has to do certain things in order to see the child. If they don't do those things, then what happens?
then their rights are negated, and then the person that has the sole custody of the child pretty much are free for all. Because
Meaning
if
that
she's
they
not,
don't.
they won't. You're not obligated to go out of your way to say, "Hey, I'm coming to see your child." I set things up because the burden of doing that is on them to go and set up. They have to pay for the supervised visits. They have to ensure that they are going scheduling their drug and alcohol classes. They have to
Mhm.
do that, and if they
No,
don't do it, then
right. I get that. If they don't do it, then the person who has the child doesn't have to let that other parent see the child.
no, they have no obligation.
Okay. Oh, they
Yeah.
have no rights.
Well, I wouldn't say they don't have rights, but they don't have the obligation. The parents is the custodial
Oh, the
parent
custodial
doesn't
parent
have the
doesn't.
obligation. Yeah, the person who has a child with them, you don't have the obligation to go try to force them to go do these things to see your child. You know,
Mm,
you can. I need you to go do this so you can see your child, because obviously it was written that way for a reason, to protect the child.
hmm
As
Okay.
far as the supervised visits,
hmm Okay. Where are you at now in your process with your daughter in custody with your daughter? Where are you at now?
living our lives, enjoying our lives. I'm doing my part as a father. I'm making sure that she's getting the best education, creating the best environment for her, a loving environment. I often tell her, she knows her mom. She knows that her mom loves her. She knows where mom's at, but there's no communication.
Okay. So what I'm
I
asking you, I apologize. Let me rephrase the
no no
question. Where you at in that process of custody and the parent your daughter's mother being able to see her and communicate with her? Where's that process at? Are you still in the legal process? Are you still going through
no.
that?
I'm
Okay.
not a legal processor because I have the documentation of what she's supposed to do, and like I said, I can't force her to do any of those things that
So
she
what that
didn't want.
means, does that mean you have sole custody of the child now?
Yeah, I had sole custody when I was when I got awarded custody,
Okay.
and then another piece of that though, this was the kicker. And I don't get off, want to get off on a tangent, but when I was actually in the hospital and I was sick during that time frame when I found out I got one custody, and I was just getting out of the hospital. So for 3 months of that time, I had to serve her because she was running and hiding out with the child. And so I am 3 months. I had to go through the process of serving her papers and giving her this information and trying to locate her to get served to turn over the child to me. Now this is the kind of sad part about it. I didn't enjoy it at all. But I had some confrontations with some of the police officers, and I was frustrated. And I remember telling one cop, and I told the guy, this is probably about the fourth situation, and they're telling me different things, and I'm showing up, and I'm trying to get them and forcing them to do their job, because I had the documentation in the paper that said what they supposed to do if they serve her and when they find her. And I said, and I told the guy, I said, listen, man, if this was a female, I didn't even say black or white. I said, if this was a female. If I was a female, y'all would have no problems getting that child out of my hands and turning that child over. And I said, this is ridiculous. I've been dealing with this for 3 months. And he said, you know what, sir, you're right. And that's all I wanted. It calmed me down because I was livid. I was upset. But back to my point, I had to fight that system and getting her served to turn my child over. And the part that I was saying, alluding to what I said I felt sad about, it took me to get someone that I knew to find out where she was working at the time and showed that she was there, called the cops in that place, and then they went in there and arrested her and they locked her up for the one day, and it was on this. This happened on a Friday evening, and they locked her up, and she had to turn and she had to go to court that Monday, and then that Tuesday she turned the child over to me,
Okay. So while
and
she
that was
was
the sad
locked,
part. That was the sad part.
what was the sad part about it?
Seeing her locked up, and me coming, I'm in the court because when we showed up to court that Monday, she had the little orange uniform on, and I was in court, basically enforcing my rights. And
Where
she
was the
came in.
child at when she was in jail?
I'm assuming she had that with her mom or one of her friends.
What? Who? Her grandmother? I mean, the child's grand.
Yeah,
So she was with
yeah,
the.
I'll say, yeah,
Okay.
her grandmother, her mom.
Okay. Um, what other legal battles are you dealing with now with regard to the custody of your child?
None.
So it's done. It's over.
It's done. It's over with.
Okay. And what are your rights right now with
I
the?
have full custody. My rights is to, like I said, I choose the schools she goes to, any religious affiliations that I want to church I want to choose to
Mm,
expose her to.
mm,
I mean, just having a child. I
okay.
pour into her. I make sure
Right.
she gets a proper education. So as this being a dad, those rights of raising my child up and
Okay.
teaching her the moral values and the things that I think that's important for her to know to be a successful
Excellent.
citizen.
Right. What
You know,
rights does her mother have now?
she still has a right to see her if she enforced that right.
What do you
She
mean by
could get
that?
in touch. She, based on the parenting plan, she has the opportunity to, but she's like I said, supervised visitations, attend drug courses,
Okay, that's what she has
classes,
to do
drug.
right now.
That's what she has to do,
Okay. How
which she
often
has
does
not.
she? Okay, go ahead. You were going to say?
Was for the first initial time when it was initially done, she's had to attend that class, but the supervised visitations was going to be up to 90 days, and then it's going to go back and revisit it. But she never did any of that.
Okay. How long has it
And
been since she's seen her child?
gosh, 12 years.
So she hasn't seen her daughter for 12 years. Your daughter has not seen her mother for 12 years.
Yep. And
Okay.
she
No
has not reached
communication at
out.
all. Okay.
Not at all. I keep my social media open for that reason. Try to get other family members because she changes. I don't know if she's hiding or whatever the case may be, but she
Well,
just doesn't reach out.
so why are you doing that? What's the
Because I
purpose
want her to,
for?
I want her to have a relationship with her mom. I want her to
Uh,
be able to communicate. There's a void there. Irregardless,
yeah.
God has
Okay.
blessed me to raise her and do a good job and to pour into her.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that she doesn't need that relationship with her mom.
Okay.
So, but it's nothing I can really do about that. I can't make her be there for her daughter. I can't make her be in her daughter's life. All I can do is let her daughter know, and I never say nothing negative or derogatory about her mom. I tell her
Excellent.
moms love her. She knows where her mom's at, and she has pictures of her mom's. I even made her a scrapbook where she can have it to keep those memories. I think probably about 6 months ago. No, not 6 months. 2, 3 years ago. The auntie, which is her mom's sister, we had kind of reached out, but nobody will. The mom won't
Hmm.
reach out.
So, what efforts have you made to reach out to uh, the mother?
Through social media, but there's no responses.
Like what? What do you say? Social media.
Facebook. Well, Facebook. I'm sorry, Facebook, because she had
Okay.
like 3 or 4 different Facebook accounts, and then the
So
last time she was.
what do you
Go ahead. I'm
say?
sorry.
What do you say in those Facebook posts? What are the type
Well,
of
then
posts you
I
put
can't.
out?
I may send a picture. This is such and such, but I don't get any response. She knows who I am, and I don't know if she sees them or not, but there's no response at
Okay.
all.
And so tell me, what do you say in those posts?
And initially, when I first started, no hard feelings. Just want you to be a part of your child's life. Blah blah blah. I shouldn't say
Mm,
blah blah blah, but and that was it. And I always conducted myself. That's the Christian side of me. I mean, even though it was a bitter situation, I still keep my heart right. Even though our relationship didn't work, but you still need to be in your child's life. And I don't want to
Okay.
say she doesn't love her daughter, because I think she does, but she just had so many bad experiences in her life that she doesn't know how to. Because she had children when she was young and didn't raise those two children. She had two other children when she was 13 and 14 years old. So, but
Okay.
I won't get into all of that. However, that is an indicator because her mom raised those children, but it was
Okay.
more so about finances and being on the system and welfare and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I try to to keep the line of communications open. I keep my Facebook open, you know, and like I said, she had four different ones, and the mother, most of them was the old ones when we was together. But I don't. She's like she just dropped off the face of the earth. But I know she's still around. So
Okay.
hopefully, I'm thinking, hopefully in the next couple of years or so, or maybe she's waiting till she gets a certain age and thinking that she's clear of. I don't care about child support. I don't care about any of that because we're doing well financially and we're blessed. I just want you to be a part of your child's life.
Okay.
But like I said, I
Well,
can't make her do that. I can't force her to do that.
okay. Why is it important for her to be part of her child's life?
Because I think a child, because I believe that there's a void there, and I take my experience. My dad wasn't a part of my life, even though I may have had a stepdad, I may have had some man that my mom was dealing with in my life, but it's not the same knowing that you have a father or a parent out there, and it's like a part of you is missing.
Okay.
So I believe that there's a void there. She's doing well. She's a happy child. She's experiencing life and having a great time. However, she still doesn't have that connection with the person that gave her life, that birthed her.
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
aspect, and God has blessed me to be fortunate enough to teach her a lot of the female things that she needs to know as far as certain things. Because I've raised a daughter before, so as far as in that aspect, but there's just some things having that bond with a female that she doesn't get. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
she has my grandmother, my mom, and I got aunts and sisters and stuff, but it's not the same. I don't know if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
No, it
It's
does.
not the same. So and nobody can really fill that void outside of God like that parent can, because I know how I
Hmm.
felt like coming up with my dad.
Hmm.
But what I tried to do is reassure her that her mom loves her, because really at this point that's all I got is that she loves you,
Hmm.
even though she's not here. And as she gets older, I give her bits and pieces of more about the relationship without getting too deep. But I've never ever been derogatory about her mom and how she feels or what she did. I don't give her those details because not
Hmm.
that's not helpful. So I
How
give
how
her.
do you how do you reassure her that her mom loves her if her mama doesn't reach out to her?
I mean, I just try to go back like when we had a baby book when she was born, and her mom sometimes would write in the baby book. Baby took her first step. Well, she raised up her head, not first step, but because she didn't see her first steps. But the baby saw her. She held up her head. Me and the baby are going to the parks. Baby ate this applesauce for the first time, and so I got a book from 0 to about 6 months that her mom was annotating stuff in the baby book. And so every now and then, periodically, we'll go by and I even I have pictures of her and her mom interacting when she was a baby. And I'll show her those pictures sometimes and we'll talk about the things in the book that in her mom's handwriting.
No.
We'll discuss those things. So I try to make that the connection to let her know, even though your mom's not here, she did deeply love you and was excited and happy when she gave birth to you without getting into a lot of her mom's issues as far as why she didn't raise you or didn't want to be in your life, but why she still had stuff to work on herself that kept her from being that type of mom that she needed. You know,
Okay. And so I thought I heard you say something about her mother not seeing her footsteps.
no, she didn't because, like I said, she was 6 months. She was like six. She was like 5, 6 months after when me and her mom broke up.
So
So she
she
did
she
not.
hasn't been so she hasn't been there for this your daughter uh, since she was 6 months old.
We broke up for about 6 months, about 6 to 7 months. That's when we broke up. And so Anastasia, she wasn't walking then. My baby wasn't walking during that time.
So her mama didn't see her first steps.
No.
Okay. But you really feel it's important for her, your daughter, to know that her mother loves her.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Wow.
And I try to
Uh,
keep those memories, even though she was little, she don't have the memories, but she has the pictures. And if you walked in her room right now, you'll see the pictures of her mom and one holding her. It's about 3 pictures. And then I keep the book in my room, and periodically we may break it out and we'll have a discussion. And I try to pause where she's at sometime, and I'll say, let's pray for your mom, let's pray for your sisters, because she has two older sisters.
mhm.
Those I told you her mom had two other kids when she was 13 and 14 years old, which is they came and lived with us for a little while, which is Deanna and Maria. Those are her two other sisters that her mom had,
So
and she
you so
didn't
you
raise.
had so you had her your ex uh, girlfriend's other two children come live in with you.
Yeah, when we were together, because we were together for three
Okay,
years.
I
And
got you.
so probably a good year into us being together. Now she didn't raise them because they was living with the grandmother, but the grandmother was getting older and she was getting tired because the kids were getting older, and they was having problems. I even
Okay.
went to the school and had to talk to the principal about one of the older daughter grades and stuff like that. So I was really
So
trying to make sure that
you was intricately involved with even her other
exactly.
kids' lives. Wow,
Yes.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
We got a few minutes left here, man. There's a lot really to unpack because there's other questions I have for you.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to the men right now who are going through the same thing that you went through, and talk to them about how to navigate this system for a few minutes and the things that you feel are important for them to know.
I would say that don't give up. Stay encouraged in the process. Get you some good, sound legal advice, and also get tapped into some resources that are available. I know when I was going through this, and this is why it touches my heart so dearly, that I didn't have a lot of resources, and at least I didn't know about them at the time until
Mm.
after the fact. But there's one particular resource out there. It's Dad's Resource Center. It's a nonprofit resource center that operates out of, I think it was established about 2015. And it was established, yeah, 2015, located in Pennsylvania, was the main office of that. But they got an online resource center. They deal with things with family advocacy, general support questions, educating outreach programs for fathers. It is kind of giving them different resources to help them navigate through the judicial system, the court system, and also give them other resources. And they have videos and everything else on this platform that they provide this information for dads, for single
Hmm.
dads or fathers
Hmm.
that are that find themselves in this custody battle of trying to get custody of their children, especially if they pulling them out of a situation where the mom is not such a great mom or whatever she may be going through. So I think that the main thing, you have to stay positive, and you have to be the best version of yourself when you're going through this, because they definitely looked at a man's character and they try to, is either yay or nay what they're going to do for you based on how you conduct yourself through this process. So
Hmm.
and so it's best to be able to make sure you find good resources, make sure that your character is up to par, and you stay encouraged. Don't give up. And it's not so much that you're trying to defame or make the other parent or the female look bad, but if there's any derogatory things in her history that can help you win your child over, because the main thing in the courts, after they weed through all this information, they're looking at who will be a better fit for that child. If
Hmm.
you get an honest judge and they not dealing with all those biases, who's going to be the best fit for that child?
Hmm. When you say your character up to par, talk about that.
Well, when your character up the par, making sure that you're not you don't have a criminal history. I mean, you may have a criminal history, but say if you turn that history around, okay, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't have pending charges. You're not. If there's a protective order filed against you for abuse, that those allegations are not true. So making sure that you're not an abusive person and you're not a neglect, that you have a good history. And if you had other children, how can you prove that you was in those other children's lives? Did you raise them up? What are your values? As far
Mm-hmm.
as what can you pour into this child? How can you produce a child or raise up a child to be a productive citizen
Mm-hmm.
and do great things within Earth?
Mm-hmm. What is your last question here? What is your biggest concern uh, uh, about men going through this system? And we talked about it at the beginning about the system and how it really stacked against us as black men, is what you mentioned. What is your biggest concern right now about men going through the system?
Men not having someone to talk to when they go through
Hmm.
this,
Hmm.
and to help them navigate the process, because that's, like I said, it was very stressful at the time when I was going through it. And so when our biggest concern is them giving up on the system, giving up on their child, and not fighting for their child because it can be overwhelming. So my
Hmm.
biggest concern would be for the man not to to be lose faith, and just keep hope, and be strengthened, and find somebody you can trust and that you can talk to encourage you, the man, to keep up the faith, keep up the fight, don't give up,
Hmm. Hmm.
and don't throw in the towel, because it can be challenging at times.
Hmm.
And if you don't know where to turn or you don't know who to talk to, find you somebody that you trust and that can give you good
Hmm.
sound advice.
And so when you say that, talk about what for the last 2 minutes we got here. Talk about what encouraged you, what inspired you, what gave you strength, what helped you to maintain hope, what helped you to continue to fight.
For me, my faith
Hmm.
in God, and knowing that I've always, like I said, being have not having my dad in my life and how that made me feel. I always wanted to never that I didn't want to bring a child in this world without being a part of their life in some form or fashion.
Hmm.
I want to be in their life. I want to be involved. I want to be
Hmm.
engaged. So I think what encourages me to making sure that, because children need fathers, they need them, that man, that male in their lives, to pour into them, to help them, to give them their identity, to show them who they are, and to teach them. So for me, I think it's very important, it's imperative that the motivation for me was I wanted to be in their lives and be involved, and
Hmm.
I didn't, and nobody could do it better than I could. Something that I produced, and I
Hmm.
believe there's a lot of good men out there, and they have good
Hmm.
values, but sometimes they just don't have the resources. Sometimes,
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
financially, it's going to cost you financially too. And like I
Hmm.
said, during that time, I owned and operated a child development learning center, so I had a pretty
Hmm.
good income coming in, besides being
Hmm.
retired from the military. So it's a challenge. It can be challenging, but like I said, for me, my belief in God, and Him strengthening me and encouraging me, and because I had other friends that was going through some of the similar things,
Hmm.
but only thing we could do, it was time to vent, but
Hmm.
wasn't giving you no strength and helping you. It just gave you a space to vent and talk about things that was frustrating, but
Hmm.
nothing that was actually encouraging you and giving you the resource to do this and to do that. So,
Okay.
like I said, that's why a lot of times I prayed a lot. I'm not during that time, and I don't mean to sound like religious, but it kept me on my knees. I cried a lot, I prayed a lot, and I know for me, I wanted to make sure that any child that I planted a seed with that parent, I was going to be determined to be in that child's life and raise that child up. I want to leave that responsibility to nobody else.
Okay. Well, thank you, brother. Hey, would you be willing to come back and let's talk more about this? There are so many
Certainly,
more questions that I have for you. Um, and some of the things you said I want to go deeper into. Right. I want to first of all congratulate you for staying in the fight, for fighting for custody of your child, and for raising, as a single father, raising a young teenage girl. Um,
yes, sir.
Congratulations to you, and I pray that God will continue to strengthen you and help you on this journey and as you're doing it. So good for you, man. Congratulations, and thank you for sharing your story with us today, man. All right.
No
Come
problem,
back,
sir. Appreciate it.
please.
I certainly
All
will.
right.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Yana. You are not alone. A space for Black men to talk about the issues that matter most to us, because we don't walk this journey of life alone. We're not just men, but we're human. And so, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, um, remember, we're never meant to do life alone. Grace and peace, everyone. See you next time. Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard because none of us are meant to do life alone.